Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Kickball Podcast. We got a pair of Cal Poly slow boys here with us today. We got Diego Guerra on the right, Nico Baltazar on the left. How you doing today, my boys?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Really thankful to be able to be on this podcast, and yeah, really grateful. Thank you
No,
for
of
having us.
course. I mean, I'm glad that you guys wanted to come on. Sometimes it becomes like a whole thing, like the schedule and everything. And I know we were talking with both you guys before, but I'm glad we got to get something going now.
Yeah, no, thank you.
All right, so I'll ask both of you, just this question just to talk, and then we'll get into a little bit of just, your both individual journeys. But I mean, how has this season gone so far? 6-4-7. Diego, I'll ask you first, and then Nico, I'll flip it to you. But just your thoughts on personal performances this season and the team as a whole.
Yeah, so I think starting off the season, we had a little bumps, I believe. We it was a whole new team, a lot of transfers, and our team's still super young. We're still trying out a lot of players, so I think it was just much more of an experience thing. I think we have a great group of guys. We have a great coaching staff that has supported us a lot in this whole process. But overall, since the beginning, we've picked it up a lot, and I think we've really shown our dedication, our focus for the team and for this program. So really thankful to be able to come back and be as strong as a team as we are today. So
Yeah, so I feel like when we started off here, we had a lot of games away, like hostile environments.
Mm.
So, and then also we were a new team, like Diego says, we're getting to know each other. But after that, we got into like a good rhythm. We came into conference with we had a good streak going on. The team was more united. And I feel like our conference this year has been really tight, like between the whole teams. Like, yeah, super tight, but we could close it out strong and hopefully enter playoffs. So yeah, we just got to stay strong.
Yeah, and you want to talk about this team still being able to get those wins in this interconference play? I mean, Santa Barbara is one of the teams that I feel like really put you guys, it was a tough match, but I think it really put you guys on notice in terms of that national scale, being able to go ahead and take the win against a number 13 ranked team. But that's not to say that you guys didn't think that you would be able to come away with that win. I mean, I don't know what it's like in that locker room, but I gotta imagine between a phenomenal left back, phenomenal attacking midfielder, like you guys go in every match thinking that the win is definitely on the table.
Yeah. No, I felt yeah. There's always the whole aspect around rankings and what that can mean. But I
Mm.
feel like when you have a team that all the teams believe in each other, there's always a sense of like we could win any game we go out to compete in. That's essentially what we do here. We just like to compete, and I feel like that's what we did both games against Santa Barbara. Yeah, it helped us get more recognition nationwide, so it was cool.
Yeah.
yeah, like Nico said, I think we go into every single game confident. I think excuse me, like the whole team, we have a lot of confidence in each other. We know we've put the work in off season, preseason with our coaches. Our coaches has prepped us as much as they possibly can with scout and all that other stuff. So I think, like you said, we go into every game confident, like willing to go to war. So it's helped us a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what though too? I mean, Nico was talking about the hostile environment, so too. I mean, the Big West, you got some of the teams that are able to fill the stands with thousands of fans. You guys, of course, being one of them though too. Talk to me,
Yeah.
talk to me about being able to play at home in front of the home fan. How much of an advantage that really, affords you guys.
No, I think it's huge. I mean, our home field, we've always been taught and to make our home field as hostile as possible. But from our play style, from our field size, from our fans, I think we have a really good fan base that a lot of people come out to support. And it's really huge that the community is being able to come out to our games and support us as much as they possibly can. And sometimes our parents are able to come. So obviously having that love and feeling that has a big impact on our game and our gameplay.
And I know a reported attendance too of 9,000 in the past Santa Barbara game. I just want to add that in before
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I want to just add that in too.
No worries.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, like I come from a JUCO, so like coming here in a D1 and seeing like the whole change of the environment, you can see that like the whole fan base is almost like a 12 man. I mean, especially in that game against like Santa Barbara, when it gets full, like it really does. Like you get more momentum, feel more live. It does help. It's cool. Yeah, it's a sick environment.
Very nice. So, I mean, I want to talk and Nico, actually, here's something I want to ask you though too, right off the jump. I mean,
Yeah.
like you're a dude for the last 2 months, every single match, 90 minutes. And
Mhm.
that I think it's we'll get into both of your guys' skill sets a little bit later on though too, before after we talk about like, your stories and where we come from, just so we could get hooked on, like seeing how much you guys want to be successful. But I mean, tell me about the consistency and the off-field work that you need to be able to put in. And Diego, I know a huge part of this as well though too. You take your off-field work very seriously. So I want to hear from both of you what that looks like, off the pitch to make sure that you're able to get the minutes in as much as you need to be.
Yeah, so well, coming in my last year, I was at JUCO El Camino. So I know there was going to be like a certain type of transition coming into D1. So and then a big thing that they try to teach me or like tell me was the fitness levels, because everything's much more intense, much more physical, fast paced. So during spring, I was doing a lot of like technical work with like people like I had certain trainers out there like EST and like goal training, and then I was doing a lot of that. I was going on runs and getting as many games as I could. And coming in here, I just wanted to connect with all of my teammates, get as much stretch as I can. But yeah, I mean, work outside of like your team environment is very important just for your personal development. And then, just staying hungry at all times, being prepared.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, same thing for me. I mean, off season it was huge for me. I feel like it's a huge part. It's a time that you can either get dropped back or you can take advantage of it and rise above other players. And I think it's a huge advantage. I took it to my advantage, like I said. I was training, I believe, twice to 2 to 3 times a week. I mean, a day, excuse me. So I think that helped me out a lot. I was training in the morning, and then sometimes my USL, and then before that, I would either lift or I would train with my personal trainer I have back home. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of process, but I mean, I'm willing to do it. I know Nico's willing to do it too, and that's just the part of who we are. So yeah, thankfully we have that ingrained in us, and we have that mentality. So that's for sure helped us a lot.
and that's a huge part. That's a huge part of the game that I think all you guys realize, but to a certain extent, it becomes not only is it just unknown to me about the kind of commitment that there really is, or how far that commitment really has to end up going to be able to see the results that you want to be able to see. And I know that's nothing new for either of you guys, but just to be able to verbalize that, I think is just something that needs to be an increased awareness of people who are really watching some of these games and knowing your guys' stories.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
So now that being said, I want to give both you guys the space to go for as long or as short as you'd like. I personally, I want to hear every detail, but yeah, I want to hear each of your upbringings in soccer, your first memories, from growing up, all the way until, let's say, the college recruitment process, because I have a couple questions just for you guys. Still being young in the college game, though, to both of you, you have at least another year to go, on both of your ends. But yeah, I want to hear the journeys from both of you.
Yeah, so I'm from a small town in was like it's called Cypress Park, Los Angeles.
Mm.
And I grew up playing there, like rec league and stuff like that, just bouncing around like different teams. And then I joined my first club when I was probably 8. It's called Golden State. And then from there, I played there like about 3 years. And then I moved to another club called Pats. And then I was there. And then I joined my first academy when I was 12. I was part of the first LAFC academy. So I was there for a year. And then, when I was there, it's kind of like, you dream of like being in a professional environment like that. And I was there at a young age. So like, it was super cool. I mean, you have all this environment, all this gear handed to you. Like, it's as professional as it could be. And then that year, I dislocated my elbow in a session. And then it left me out like the last 3 months. And then I got released. So I went to another academy called La UFA. And then I was able to play there a year. And then I got scouted to go to LA Galaxy Academy where I played 3 years. And then that was probably like, I'd say my favorite part of like academy soccer. I was able to travel to places like Croatia, South Korea, Italy to play like international tournaments, which really helped my development. And then I was able to meet like people that are, pro or playing D1 right now. And then, yeah, after that, my senior year, I got released from Galaxy and I played at TFA. And then, right there, my college recruitment wasn't as strong as like others. I talked to a couple schools, but I was never really able to solidify anything. So I ended up taking the JUCO route, and I went to El Camino. And yeah, I mean, going there was a true blessing to me. My first year was kind of like a year of development. I had a coach that really believed in me and like in the whole team. So my first year, we made state, but we lost to Mount Sac in I think quarterfinals. And then second year, we got more players. We had a really strong team. We had a really good year. We went 24-1. We were state and national champions. And then my recruitment process during that year was really good. I mean, there was a lot of eyes on us. And yeah, I was able to get attention from Cal Poly. I came out on a visit here, and I really liked it. I mean, the team was already very welcoming. It's super nice out here. So, I mean, yeah, then from there, I just made my decision to come here, and I've just been trying to adapt. And it's been really cool being here, playing D1, the dream that I've had. So, yeah, it's my journey.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think growing up, I in Fresno, I was always around soccer my whole life. My brother, my sister, they both played. Um, but growing up, I played rec league to start off in the beginning. I had my dad had a team. It was called the Fuego Falcons. It was a team in Fresno, and it was like a little community team. I always played up, and then from there, I went to a club team called St. Cosmos. At the time, we were in MPL, and there was just a bunch of guys that we had in the area, but it ended up being a really talented group. We went to state like 3 times in a row. We won state, I believe, once, and then went to like semis and quarter. We had a really talented group. And then after that, I went to we all transferred to a team called California Odyssey. They're an ECNL team, I want to believe, located in Fresno, Clovis area. Played for them for a little bit, and yeah, got a lot of love. And then once that, while playing with them, COVID hit. So obviously, COVID was a huge, huge distraught to everybody, and everybody's kind of career kind of put their career on pause, considering the fact that you kind of were like plateaued to a sense. You were kind of stuck wherever you were. So in the time, I wasn't able to really train with any club team or anything. So one of my sister's old trainers, Alvaro, I went with him in Fresno, and he had a good group. And me and my best friend would go all the time. I met a lot of talented soccer players there. Um, but yeah, we just grinded all summer for 2, 3 years in the heat. Really, he really built us. That's where I think I got all my character, my mentality from. He as a trainer was amazing to me. He pushed me to my limits every single time. That I wouldn't, I would if I could, I'll do it again. He's somebody I'd gladly reach out to again. He helped me through so much in my process. He's really built me into the character I am today. Um, but he's actually the one that got me scouted and recruited to go to Earthquakes Academy. He had a connection with the head coach to the U17s at the time, while I was a year younger. So while COVID had right before it happened, I had a trial with them at Quakes, but then literally a couple of days later, COVID hit, so everything got called back. And then so fast forward 2 years, I'm still training with my trainer, still working hard, working every single day. And then he was like, you know what? We're gonna take you again. So he reached out to Luciano, who was the head coach of Quakes at the time, and he was like, you know what, bring him. Got a trial with them. It was great. I mean, it was amazing. The players over there at the Quakes Academy at the time, everybody, the staff was such high level, so professional. And thankfully, I was blessed to be able to play with them. I made the team, thankfully, and then played with the academy for about, I want to say, 2 years, a year and a half. It was great. I mean, I'm surrounded by now national team players, first team players, second team players. It was huge. It was huge for everybody. I think it was huge for my development, being able to see all that talent and seeing what it really took to be at a first team level. And I think it really exposed me to how it really was. And then in my academy days, I was able to travel, thankfully, with to Philly to play a bunch of teams, Atlanta United, a lot of great talented teams, RSL. And throughout that process, I was able to really expand my game and learn from the coaches, from even the players, especially seeing not like I wouldn't say I wish they had more recognition, but yeah, I think being from Fresno kind of held me back a little bit. There's not a lot of recognition that I would say that goes into Fresno compared to like the Bay Area and more advanced, I would say, like areas. But like I said, thankfully I was given that opportunity and I was surrounded with such good talent. I mean, like I said, a lot of national team players currently and first team players and the players in Germany. So I'm super blessed. But yeah, after some years with the academy, I thankfully was moved up to the second team. and that was amazing. I mean, like Nico said, like you have everything kind of to your disposal, you have the gear, the cleats, and it's really a blessing. It's like a blessing come true. Was training with them. It was great. I had a great time. Like I said, surrounded with great staff and great players, and continue to learn and continue to build my resume, I would say. And then I picked up an injury in like my high hamstring for about 2, 3 months, and it held me back a lot, considering the fact that we couldn't find out what it was, and I was really scared. I believe it was tendonitis. And then one day I took like 2 ibuprofen, and then like after 4 months, and they gave me all this treatment, I was like, I don't know, we're fine. And I was like, what happened? I was like, I don't know what happened, but it was weird. But thankfully, I was able to play again. And then, but throughout all that, the academy and the second team, I mean, the college process. Thankfully, I was talking to a couple schools, but the main thing was I was thinking I wanted to go somewhere where I could really be successful, and I know I could put my trust into my coach, and I could really help him with my process of recruitment and process of like the next 4 years of college that I'm going to have. And I think currently Ogie, the coach that I have right now, Ogie Kennedy, he's the coach that 100% had my trust. I gave him my word, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to trust you. And he, since then, he's really supported me in my process. Thankfully, he's been a great coach and great mentor to me and the team. Has been a huge part in our success this year, and I owe him everything. And then also, obviously, my assistant coach, Woo, and then Zach, they've been a huge part. We're all like a family, thankfully. So it's all up to them. All thanks to them. So,
And what I always like asking that question just to let you guys go and talk about you, because there's so much that just is not going to get covered because there's certain little blips that no one ever really knows where you guys end up being. Yeah, I mean, thankfully we both end up. I end up getting to see you guys at the Division 1 level, and we get to have this kind of conversation. But it's nice to hear that a lot of that there was so much work that ended up going in between both of you through the academies, through injuries, through coaches that have led you to this Division 1 environment now.
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
So now I want to ask though too. I mean, both of you have spent a little bit of time, whether it's with LA or San Jose now the Town FC with in the second team.
Absolutely.
Um, but I want to ask a little bit about and you guys both went into this as well, just a lot of the resources in the environment. But talk to me, I want to learn about the coaching. What do you think were certain things that really changed you as players, really, and if it was a certain skill you developed or a mindset that you adopted, if you had to pinpoint one thing or one or two things, whatever it ends up being, that really, made this academy decision worthwhile for both of you, what do you think that would end up being? And either you could take the question first.
Um, I feel like for me, coming in from like club to academy, say like in LA Galaxy, we had at the time my coaches were Andrew May, Pedro, and Brian Cleveland. There was like a big emphasis on like intensity. Like every session was like super intense. I mean, it kind of just keeps you sharp, like you lose a ball, you got to get it right away. You have the ball, make sure you keep it like it's a prized possession. So I feel like for me, a major adaptation going into academy that has helped me at the collegiate level was the intensity aspect. Knowing that anytime you're on the pitch, it's like it's what you're striving for to have more. And then obviously the technical side. I mean, as the higher level you play, the more technical it is. I mean, like players just so good on the ball. They know certain movements. So I mean, just knowing having good feet, having being very intense, and just being able to have solutions to different problems that you may encounter in the game. Because I mean, the game is always super hectic, could go either way. So yeah, I see those are the two biggest things for me.
Yeah. Uh, for me personally, I want to say it's just the little details. I think every single coach that I've trained with that's in the kind of pro level, they're huge on the little details, like the weight of the pass, the little turn, the way you body receive, the way you receive the ball. I think and the higher you go, the higher level, the more it is on little details. And I think that's the beauty of soccer because you have to pinpoint exactly what you have to do, and it's always to perfection. I think everything kind of as you go in your development, you see every single player is better at the simple stuff, at the touching, like the touch, the passing, like just the little tiny stuff. They have it to perfection. That's why they're so good, and they're so keen on that. And I think it's just the beauty of soccer. I guess the higher you go.
And I find it interesting that you mentioned that though too, because as Julio, I mean Julio's gone to a few of these games though too, and that's one thing that he really pinned out for both of you guys as well, just the attention to detail in every first touch and every pass, knowing how much to put on that kind of thing. So I like that you brought that up though, because now that allows me to go a little bit on that. Julio and I talk. Look, I mean, I may be New York. I may not be able to get out to these games, but like I know what goes on. I like to think I know what goes on. Um, so, and Nico, I want to bring this up though too. I mean, El Camino College, like having the success in the second year and developing the first year. And Diego, I know that this is what I'm going to ask. I'm sure has you will relate to this to a certain extent though too. But I mean, rushing the process, like you make it to a certain level or a JUCO level, let's say for example, and you want to be able to make your way to that first division one, threshold, that the level in college soccer. So, when you look at maybe not necessarily getting the first starts or not being fully developed in that first year and wanting to rush that process, how do you make sure that you're staying centered and understanding, okay, here are the little things I need to get better? And again, Diego, I'm sure this resonates with you at some point in your career, whether it's with the Quakes or somewhere else in the journey. But I mean, walk me through both of your process where in whatever setting it may be.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, like I feel like it all comes down to like your mentality. Because my first year, I was there, and like the conference that El Camino's in, like there's a lot of talented teams, like with talented players, and you're like when you realize like you're in JUCO, like everybody's fighting for that like that D1 offer, because there's only a certain amount of people that make it out of JUCO, and so it's just a matter of like staying hungry. Like I mean, my second year, well, my first year there, we had like players in Mount Sac. There was players like Edward that he's in UCR now, or Alex Mendez that's in CBU. I mean, like it's super competitive. Like it's everybody wants to like. It's just like a hunger thing. I feel like for me, and obviously like you see like these players are like committing and stuff, and you're like, oh, like I wanted to be me. So I feel like it's just yeah, like it gets frustrating that you could sometimes see that things aren't going your way, but I feel like it's a matter of patience and knowing that if you're like staying consistent, doing the right things, and you want to get better, and like you're obviously reaching out yourself, having your own exposure, like things could happen. So I feel like it all comes down to mentality and like knowing that being persevering in any circumstance you come through. Because I mean, there's a lot of hungry people out there that want to be like in your position. So knowing that you could be in that position, and also when you're in that position, be humble to know that you can lose the position as well.
Yeah, similar to what Nico said, I think it's just a hunger thing. Honestly, I think at Quakes too, I wasn't really able to break into the squad as much. I was just always at training, working as hard as I can, and even if I wasn't given the opportunity, I was just always thinking, you know what, if I'm not getting an opportunity, it's fine. It's going to make me work harder. I think that helped me out in my mentality a lot, considering the fact that I never really gave up. That's not someone I am. I want to say I'm always hungry. That's how I've been raised. That's how I've been kind of brought up to always want more, regardless of the way it's going, the way the stuff is going. You need to always remain hungry because the day that you give up on yourself is the day you've lost. And I don't think I'll ever let myself give up on something that I really, really want. So having that and similar to Nico said, like the thing, I mean, everybody's goal is to break into the first team, get playing minutes, like travel, all this stuff, all this luxury. And I think not being able to not really get that luxury just kept me so hungry. And I think I kept the right path in my mentality because I feel like a lot of other people kind of skew off and they're like, you know what, if I'm not getting what I want, I'm just gonna complain and kind of like just like drift off. But I was like, no, it just made me want to work harder. And I'm really, really grateful I went through that because it really built me into the player I am today. So
And I think that was both exceptionally well said from both of you. I really appreciate just getting that little insight though too from both of you. So I'd like to thank you both on that. And so now I think another question though too, what I think goes with both of you. I don't think that there's been a whole lot of a learning curve per se in terms of moving into this Division One level for both of you. I mean, Diego, that was your first taste, and Nico, you had the experience in JUCO, so I think they certainly helped. But like what we were talking about, the first touch from both of you, I think the command on the left side of the pitch from Nico, and then Diego, your ability to be able to move in traffic in the middle of the pitch as that attacking mid and then also be able to be the distinguished guy who's taking the penalty kicks, which I think is a nice distinction. But I mean, I want to know the learning curve for Division One. If there really so much was that for either of you, because it really didn't look like it for the most part. I mean, maybe there would be a minutes battle here and there, but it didn't really look like there was so much of an adjustment for either of you. That being said, my opinion's very ignorant in terms of both your experience. So if there was that, let me know. And how do you end up getting over that kind of thing?
Yeah, I feel like from JUCO to D1, and I would ask people that had already gone through that process, and they always mention like the speed aspect, how everything's just quick, like your decisions, you have to know what you're gonna do, like once you have the ball, and also like the physicality, like you pass the ball and they're gonna ram into you right away.
Yeah.
So actually, like in my first game here, we had a preseason game against what was it, Pacific, University of the Pacific,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
like my
Yeah.
my first play of the game, like the ball's coming, I kick it out, boom, I get ran. And then like I'm doing good, and then like during halfway of the first half, like I step to this guy, and this guy does like a skill move and negs me, and I'm like, it's kind of like a weight cry, like. But I mean, the more experience you get, like training and stuff, like more games, you just you could see the differences. There's so many good players out here. Like it's just so much quicker. The spaces you have to cover. I mean, there's just so much more distance covered. I feel as well because the speed of the game is just so quick. So I feel like with more experience that I've had through games and stuff, I was able to adapt from that JUCO to D1 level. But yeah, that would be like the learning curve for me.
Yeah, touching on what Nico said, I think the physicality is huge. I feel like same thing for Nico. My first games as a freshman last year, everybody was so physical, strong, and it's just like you can easily get taken off the ball, or you can easily take somebody off. It's just like a head-to-head battle every time. I think the speed of play, I would say, is as fast, or I would say the academy was a little faster. I would say where everything's a little more pinpoint precise. But yeah, overall college it's been kind of it's been a big adjustment, but also thankfully I have that same like that good background, the same kind of experience I already have at Quake to the second team, where I don't feel as pressure as other like as I would if I wouldn't have, you know what I'm saying? Like if I didn't have the same
Right.
background. So I'm super blessed to have that background and be able to come from that. And so it makes this process a little bit easier. But yeah, I think I would just say that the speed of play it's just everything's fast. Everybody just presses also the distance you cover in our game, especially our system. I think me and Nico average, I think 9 to 10 miles a game of
I believe
so
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're for sure covering a lot of distance. So yeah, thankfully that's also built us to be able to last the games. So
And Nico, I mean, you're a guy who's able to take, I mean, I keep saying this left side, but I mean, 9 to 10 miles a game really doesn't lie. Like that it shows. And I ain't really mentioned this so much before, but I like the ability to be able to go box to box to a certain degree, like on your end, Diego. But also, that's not to say that Nico hasn't done the exact same thing. Maybe it's not box to box, like when you talk about being like that wing back defender, but you're able to get your steps in, like for lack of a better word, but also being able to enjoy that the coverage benefit
Yeah.
in terms of just being in the right position. So, and here's two things that I'll bring up though too. I want to ask him like in the same thing, but I'll talk about. I mean, neither of you guys have to be 6 foot to play your position, or like I mean I know both of you are like 6'2", 6'1". You know what I mean? Like, and that's not necessarily a necessity, but it definitely helps with what you're saying, the physical aspect of college soccer. But you guys are also again like we talked about though too. Like you can look at the heat maps of some of these matches too, especially the games against Santa Barbara, Sacramento State, and some of these other Big West games where you guys, it's all over the place. There's never one particular position. Like, is it difficult sometimes to get caught off guard in certain areas where maybe you're not in the right position, you need to be covering a certain man, or do you really just try to look at that, in like a basketball sense, or just being in man-man, or like being in man-to-man coverage, essentially what that kind of looks like.
Yeah, no, I feel like it depends on the team. But I mean, when you are in those like moments where you are cut off position or like, I mean, it's super quick to notice like if I'm covering too much to my left, then they could split like the forward coming in behind me, or ball behind.
Or yeah.
And it's like really noticeable right away. So that's why like I mean that's a be another thing, just like always staying like focused. There's really no moments in games that you can like shut off because at any moment like things like that happen. But yeah, I feel like your positioning, all that stuff, it's just really important because it's really noticeable to tell when something's off. Like because players here are so high IQ or so quick to adjust to things that you'll be able to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar to what Nico said. I think at any point you can get caught off guard. One little split second, you don't press, or you take too long. Someone turns and plays a through ball, and they're gone. Like it's just like so quick, and you're like some littlest details that, like I said before, that matter the most and make the biggest difference. But I think our team this year has done a really, really good job communicating with each other. Like Nico and Parker, our other center back, have done a great, great job communicating with me and my midfielders. And yeah, I think it's been a huge, huge help. I mean, sometimes left shoulder, right shoulder, we'll tell our forwards, left shoulder cover shadow here, or cover that man behind you the six, like just stuff like that. And I think it's been a huge part of our success this year, just covering spots that are behind us and are kind of blind spots. So yeah, it's been a huge, huge upgrade for
Yeah,
sure.
I like to say though too. I kept calling you I kept calling you a left back, but like whatever left center back. So that's my bad. I like to just say
That's
my fault on that. But um, I gotta own up to that thing when I when I make that mistake. But I appreciate that again though too. Like I mean, it is just such this intricate movement that you need to be able to be able to make, and without the communication, that all ends up just falling apart.
Correct.
yeah.
I mean, and the more that I talk to ballers like yourself across or ballers like you guys across the country, like so much of this common denominator, this least common denominator really just comes down to the communication and understanding, okay, like certain positional changes that need to end up being made. So Diego, though, too, I know like um when you're playing in that middle in or the midfield and the back line ends up moving up sometimes. Like I've seen certain situations where the back line will end up coming to help a little bit in the midfield to try to just ease that process of building from the back, which I think is interesting, in some cases, and I've seen it more um like more earlier on in the season, I think. But it's still like there are still elements I feel like where um there will be these certain changes, like I'm saying, like where midfielder will end up dropping back a little bit, and maybe the back line will move up again, like solidifying that kind of line. Talk to me about that sort of communication, how well that ends up working out, from both of your perspectives.
Yeah, I mean, anytime we can have kind of one of the mids kind of drop in and get the ball, when considering the fact that the other team may have two forwards, especially because when they have two forwards, they kind of pivot and they cut off the mid. So anytime we can drop, say me or whoever, me or the other midfielders can drop between our center back and our left back, it creates a whole another gap and a whole other line of space. Like we're able to push our left back up. I'm able to get the ball as a left back. We're able to get numbers and overload on one side. So I think it's a great way to get the outlet, like find that outlet, or even switching the ball to the other side. It's so much that goes into play, I think, but I think it's beautiful because it creates the more players you move and the more players you move to certain areas, there's more spaces that get created, which is we can take advantage of it, which is great because then we kind of can't confuse the opponent or they can get out of shape and we find those gaps and we go forward. I think that's kind of the beauty of it. It's kind of like chess to put
Right.
into perspective. So I think it's beautiful to see in soccer.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I feel like the defensive side, when there's so much communication and you're telling what side to cover and stuff, it obviously becomes less work for kind of each line. Like the midfield has to talk to the forwards, like when to press, when to hold, like what side to shift and stuff. So if you're able to get that right, then the midfield has to do less work. And then if for us as defenders, if we're telling the midfielders when to shift, what shoulder the players on behind them and stuff, what passes to make once they win the ball, like then we do less work, and it's just like that. It's like a domino effect. You get things right at one part, then it's good there. But if you get things wrong at one part, then it affects like the whole thing as well.
Very nice. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great insight though too. And I don't want to get like too much into like certain little game plans, like you because you guys still got a season to play. But um,
Yeah,
I appreciate you guys giving me the thoughts regardless.
yeah, no, thank you. Thank you.
So, Diego, I know, like, normally you see nines end up taking that penalty kick role, but this is something that you've been taking on a little bit more over the season. I mean, you've had a couple penalty kick goals so far, in the year. Sometimes, I know from some guys who have taken that role that ends up being a conversation off the pitch and just a proven ability to be able to convert on those kinds of opportunities, which you've been able to do. But I want to get a sense. I mean, how does that end up coming out to where, they end up taking one of the midfielders and they bring him up and they say, you know what, we want our chance to be converted by Diego.
Um, I think it's really just the coach's decision, and I'm lucky that he chose me. I think the coaching staff and Ogie and Wu and Zach, they all have their confidence in me and anybody. I feel like thankfully I've been given the chance to, and thankfully I've been able to put them away. I think I'm very very blessed to have the opportunity to be able to be that guy to take the pens. But I mean, it all comes down to my teammates causing them and getting behind, getting the pen. And I think without them, I wouldn't be able to take them. So all props to them. But yeah, I mean, I've been, like I said, very, very lucky to be able to get that opportunity. And it's I feel like it's a big, big role to take, but I'm having enough confidence in myself and my team. Knowing that my coaches have that confidence in me too builds me, and it gives me kind of a sort of comfort that you can't really find anywhere else, knowing that your coaches support you. And like I've said before, thankfully, I'm so, so grateful that I have the coaching staff I do today, because with their confidence that they put in me, it's built me so much as a player on and off the field. And yeah, I give it all to them. Really, everything I do is for them, and yeah, this team. So
And Nico, I mean, you're a guy, it's no secret. I mean, you've played every freaking minute of the last two months roughly though too. Talk about the trust that needs to be invested into you from these coaches, especially this being your first year with the squad to be able to keep you in for that amount of time and to know that they're going to be relying on you, that you're a rock on that defensive line.
Yeah, no, obviously it does. There's a lot of trust vested on me from the coaches, but I also feel like a lot of it has to do with like the healthy competition that we have in the team. I
Mhm.
mean, like every session, we're all pushing each other. Like that there's so many people that that want to play. So there's a good competition. We all want to see better from each other, and we put each other through situations in which we can always improve. So we're always getting better through our teammates. And obviously, like the coaches are giving us the tools to become better as well. So I mean, through all that, like there's just so much trust generated, not only from the coaches but from the team as well. So I mean, all that is just it's helped me a lot. I've been really blessed and grateful to be in the position that I am. Yeah.
So now I want to get into a couple of the highlight matches though throughout the rest of this year. I mean, we talked about Santa Barbara a little bit earlier, but I want to talk a little bit about just that win as a whole too. Um, 2-0 victory. I mean, Diego, you had a goal. Nico helped preserving that shutout though, regardless. But yeah, I want to, just get your thoughts on that win, just in general. I know we mentioned it before, but what can you guys tell me about the match?
Um, for one, I think it was electric. The environment helped us out totally. I think seeing your friends and your family in the stands and all your friends from school, classes, it's such a good feeling, having their support, knowing that they're out there, and you kind of have to do it for yourself. I mean, over the past couple of years, it's always been a struggle against them. They're a great team. Props to them. I think we all knew it was going to be a battle, but like I said before, I mean, our team's a family. We knew that we had put in the work in preseason and off season, last season in the spring. We had always had confidence in ourselves. We knew that whoever we played was going to be war, whoever it was. It could be a team ranked number one in the nation, ranked 13th in the nation. We knew we were going to come out and play as hard as we possibly could. And like I said, our team's a family. Like regardless, if somebody goes down, we all go down. If someone has a high, we all go up with them. And I think that's been a huge part of our success. But overall, the game was insane. I mean, getting into it, I think we held our shape really good. We stuck to our game plan really good, and thankfully we were able to convert both pens. Yeah, I mean, it was a surreal feeling after the game. Everything. I felt so proud of my teammates, my staff too. Um, our coaching was it was a great win. It was a totally like it was a statement made, I want to say, to Big West, to the NCAA. I think yeah, I mean, it's been a huge part. Thankfully, it's been a huge part of our confidence. So
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was a match that we prepared for really well, not only for like what it meant, for us, but also to the program. I mean, there's been, I think it was like 7 years or something like that that we hadn't won here. So I mean, it was huge. I mean, the fan base was insane. You had like people holding posters for players, and the way like they went on the field after. I mean, like Diego was getting thrown up in the air. It was so cool. I mean, yeah, the game was. It was also a good game. I feel because there were certain moments where they had chances, and then moments where we had chances, and everything was just. Yeah, I mean, it was super cool to just be a part of that match, and then having the result that we got made it even better. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the blue-green rivalry at its finest, I think. At least on your end, for sure.
Yeah.
And two of the other matches I want to bring up though too, just Sacramento State and oh geez, I had it written down somewhere with the other one. Oh, UC Davis. Two other huge matches that were huge for you guys to be able to go get in the Big West tournament coming up. I know Bakersfield is I believe it's next Saturday for you guys, and that's the final regular season match before going into tournament time.
yeah.
With how huge that some of these Big West wins really have been for you guys. I mean, what are the plans moving into this tournament and potentially, a little bit further than that with this kind of a quality team?
Yeah, I think it's been. I mean, the process has been huge. Like I said, we've taken every single game super seriously. Every single game matters. I mean, as much as you want to kind of take off pressure of a game, you can't because the second you do, someone will outjump you. And then it's just the same way. And the same way the Big West has been this year. It's been so close. Every single team has been competing. Every single team has improved. And I think that's been a big improvement for the whole league this year. That every single team has risen above how they were last year. I think that's been a huge part. And but yeah, I think going into the Sac State game, I think we had a great game that game. I mean, our team at home is super solid. Like I said, having your family there, knowing your family's watching, having your friends there, it's huge support. And I think thankfully we were able to come out with a win. It was a huge win. It was a must win game. And yeah, I mean, we held a solid. We held a solid. We were up 3-0, I want to say, until the 80th minute. Converted an unlucky pen. And yeah, we ended up the game 3-1. But I mean, we take it, we learn, and we go on from there. And touching on to it was the Davis game. Oh, it's a hostile environment. Davis is a hostile environment. It's in the day. It was what, like 100 degrees.
Yeah.
I remember I walked on the field and I did a first sprint to get in behind or like to mark somebody. My mouth was dry. Like it was like I felt so dehydrated the whole game. And it was just like it's like one of those games you just have to grind. You just have to grind it out. And like you just gotta think like, you know what, this is for the team. You gotta work for everybody and everybody's going through the same thing. You gotta just go through it. But yeah, thankfully we were able to come out with the win. Quinn, one of my teammates, had an assist to Oren. Oren got him behind, scored. And yeah, I mean, we held our own. It was a great performance from our defense too. Whole team as a whole, our defense was so solid that game. It has been this whole year. So props to them and our keeper too. Our keeper's been doing amazing. So yeah,
Yeah, adding on to what Diego said, I mean, the UC Davis game was a conference opener, and then opening at UC Davis, like they said, it was really hard. I mean, the thing he said about like the heat and all that, we usually have a warm up where like we get like sprints in, and like you can feel it right away. I mean, it's during daytime, it was hard, and then the way that UC Davis plays as well, like they'll run at you, they're a physical team. But it was a big win, to get us on the right path to opening the conference and then for games to go on. And then Sac State, I believe that was our first home game of the conference here. So in our mindset, it was make a statement of like what this field means to us and to the rest of the conference that like, this is gonna be a hard place to play at. So yeah, I mean the team did really well that game. Um, we netted back 3 goals, and I felt like we performed really well. So I mean, yeah, those are two big important games that helped us out throughout this conference.
Yeah, I mean, huge, and there's a reason that I brought them both up though too. Like
Yeah.
you talk about the adversity with just the environment of Davis, still being able to go ahead get the 1-0 victory to hold on to that kind of win though as well. and then the great performance against Sacramento. I mean, this is a team that really is battle tested, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just my last final thought really for both you guys before, just looking to wrap this up, but too, I mean, tell me individually for both of you, what is just this mindset? What are the goals for, just the rest of the season personally? Of course you want to see the team success, but I'm sure that there are little things, here and there. If not, I mean, again, I know the number one thing just from talking with both of you is just doing it for the team, getting that win for the team. But if there's anything personal that's also involved in this though too, just personal goals, I'd love to hear them, just what we could be looking forward to for both of you guys.
Now, yeah, so obviously, we want to end off the season on a high note, getting a win next Saturday, and then going into tournament play. From my end, like being my first year here, I just want to, with as long as with the team, I want to just have a good first year here. Accomplish things with the team because that's like what the foundation of our team is. The whole aspect that we're all one. So being united through all that, the whole process that the first season has been for me, and then obviously, just keep getting recognition towards the program, which can not only help me, but like the rest of us. And then, yeah, just looking ahead, I mean, I do have another year here, and, I'm excited for that too. And then we'll see how that goes. And, hopefully, if there's any doors that open after that, I mean, which is a goal, that would be a true blessing. So, I mean, I'm just taking it a day at a time, but super blessed and excited for what's to come as well. I want to win games and win championships. Yeah.
Yeah, I think similar to what Nico said, I think our main goal for this year and 2 years to come is to help the team be as successful as they possibly can as a whole. I mean, the more successful we are as a team, the more we work together, the more recognition that will come. And the more recognition there is, like the more wins we do as a team, the more successful we are, everything will just come to us, I believe. So I believe looks from I mean, obviously I think both of our goals is to go pro. And I mean, the way we can do that is by having a successful team and holding each other to a higher standard, holding everybody to a higher standard. I think our training environment has helped us immensely. Also, we're always so intense. Everybody just is hungry. Everybody wants something. Everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to compete. And I think that's what's led to our success this year. And I mean, yeah, I mean, like every kid's dreams to go to professional. I think it's been a goal of mine, and I will always perceive it. I mean, I'm always going to work for it, and I know me and Nico both strive to be at that level and compete and get that contract and be able to support your family and be able to compete and complete your dreams. So it's something that we always remain hungry for. We always will remain hungry for.
And with how far both of you guys have gone just in this past year, with time more to go, I have no doubt that those opportunities will end up presenting themselves in due time. All the best to you,
Thank,
boys.
Thank you.
thank you so much, man.
Course. So, yeah, I mean, I'm all out of everything that I was going to ask both of you guys. I mean, it's been a pleasure to be able to hear and listen through to both your journeys. But with that being said, I would like to leave this off, for both of you in case there's anything that you'd like to say at the end of the interview. Um, yeah, again, I've asked everything that I've wanted to, but I'd like to hand the floor off to both of you now.
No, I just think we want to say thank you for giving us be able to use your platform to tell our story and kind of explain everything and kind of give props to our team for everything we completed this year and for much more to come and for a great playoff run, hopefully. So, yeah, I mean, thank you so much. And yeah,
Yeah, I feel like you covered everything, but yeah, from my end, I just want to say thank you and also congrats on all the success you've had with the kickball pod as well. I mean, yeah, it's been cool. I mean, you stay in touch.